You know, when we talk about the history of Microsoft Windows, it's really easy to just focus on the big wins. But what if I told you the real story? The most interesting one is actually hidden in its most spectacular failures. We're going to unpack how some of the most infamous launches in tech history weren't just mistakes. They were actually the secret blueprints from Microsoft's greatest triumphs. So if you look at the modern history of Windows, you start to see this pattern. Let's take a look at these 3 years right here. 2000 gave us Windows ME, 2007 brought us Windows Vista, and in 2012, we got Windows 8. And let me tell you, these releases weren't just minor disappointments, they became massive, industry-wide cautionary tales. So what's the thread connecting these 3 moments in time? It's not just about, bad code or buggy software. It's something much deeper. Each one of these represents a critical turning point for Microsoft, a moment where the company stumbled, and in doing so, accidentally paved the way for its next huge success. But before we dig into the specific failures, we gotta talk about why a Windows stumble isn't just a small trip up, it's a global earthquake. To really get why these failures were so huge, you have to understand the immense scale of Windows dominance. When Microsoft gets something wrong, the pressure is just enormous. 1.4 billion. Just let that number sink in. That's how many active Windows devices are out there in the world. I mean, think about that. With an audience that massive, you're not just shipping code, you're basically maintaining the digital infrastructure for a huge portion of the planet. The margin for error is basically zero, which just makes the stumbles that much more spectacular. All right, so let's jump in our time machine and go back to the year 2000. Our first stop, Windows ME. The ME was supposed to stand for Millennium Edition, but for just about anyone who had to use it, it very quickly became known as the Mistake Edition. See, the gap between what Microsoft wanted to do and what they actually delivered was, it was staggering. The goal was so simple, just a quick little update for home users coming from Windows 98. But the reality? It was a complete nightmare of instability and the dreaded, all too familiar blue screen of death. It was an absolute mess. So why did it fail so spectacularly? Well, bottom line, it was just a stopgap. Microsoft was in a bit of a jam. They needed something, anything, to give to consumers while they were finishing their next-gen professional OS, so they rushed it out the door. It was built on this really old, rickety code from Windows 90X, and it ended up being a really painful lesson for the company. You just can't build the future on a crumbling foundation. Okay, let's fast forward 7 years. Windows XP has been this massive, runaway success, and Microsoft is feeling ambitious, really ambitious. Their next big thing, Windows Vista, wasn't just going to be another update. No, it was supposed to be a revolution. The dream, right, was this super secure, futuristic reinvention of the whole PC experience. They were definitely looking over their shoulder at Apple's slick Mac OS X and wanted to make a big statement. The reality, though, was a slow, bloated system that felt more like a straitjacket than a leap forward. It was ahead of its time, but in the absolute worst way. People's computers just weren't ready for it. And oh boy, the critics, they did not hold back. They were brutal. This quote from PC World pretty much says it all. Slow, bloated, and annoying. There was just no hiding how frustrated everyone was. Vista became a running joke, and tons of people either just stuck with the old Windows XP or even paid to downgrade back to it. And if you want to see one of the biggest technical reasons people were tearing their hair out, it all came down to memory. Look at this jump. XP was happy with about 64 megabytes of RAM. Vista, it demanded 512 megabytes. That's an 8 times increase. So what did that really mean for the average person in 2007? It meant their brand new computer felt slow on day one. Most PCs just couldn't keep up. But it wasn't just about being slow. It was a whole collection of frustrations. First, you had these constant security pop-ups. They called it user account control, and it drove everyone absolutely nuts. Then there was the performance, which was just terrible. And to top it all off, basic stuff like your printer or your scanner often just wouldn't work because of driver problems. It was death by 1,000 paper cuts. All right, on to our last stop, the year 2012. And this one's different. See, if Vista failed because it was too technically ambitious, Windows 8 failed because it had a total identity crisis. Microsoft was clearly spooked by the rocket ship rise of the iPhone, and especially the iPad, and they made this radical bet that showed they fundamentally misunderstood their most loyal users. You know, on paper, the idea sounded pretty cool.
one single OS that works perfectly on a tablet and on your regular desktop PC. But in the real world, billions of desktop users were suddenly forced into this really awkward, confusing interface. And then, in a move that people are still talking about, they got rid of the Start menu. It created this jarring identity crisis for the entire Windows platform. I mean, just picture the classic PC setup, right? For decades, the whole world of Windows lived right here, keyboard and mouse. It's all about precision, getting work done, that muscle memory you build up over years. And then, seemingly overnight, this whole new universe appears, the world of touch. It's all about your finger on a screen. Super intuitive, super direct, but a totally different way of thinking about how you use a computer. So here's the billion-dollar question that Microsoft bet the farm on. Can a single interface rule both of these worlds? Their big answer was Windows 8, which tried to cram this touch-first design down the throats of billions of keyboard and mouse users. The backlash was swift and it was loud. Okay, so let's recap. We had Windows ME, which was just plain unstable. We had Vista, which was a bloated resource hog. And we had Windows 8, which was, well, it was deeply confused about what it wanted to be. But here's the cool part. When you step back and look at these three very different failures, a really fascinating and powerful pattern starts to emerge from the ashes. It's this almost predictable three-step dance. Step 1. Microsoft drops a really ambitious, often controversial OS that, frankly, misses the mark. Step 2. They listen. They absorb the massive firestorm of criticism and user feedback. And Step 3. They channel all of that learning into a refined, polished, and ultimately beloved successor. And this isn't just a theory. You can literally trace this pattern through 2 decades of Windows history. The total mess that was Windows ME, it gave them all the lessons they needed to build Windows XP, one of the most beloved operating systems of all time. The frustrations of Vista, they were all systematically fixed to create the lean and reliable Windows 7. And the identity crisis of Windows 8, that was finally resolved with Windows 10, which beautifully blended the best of both worlds. Every single failure was the necessary foundation for a major triumph. So all of this leaves us with one last kind of provocative thought. We call these things mistakes or failures, but maybe they're just a necessary part of innovation when you're working on a global scale. As we're now diving headfirst into this new world of AI and cloud computing, you have to wonder, what's going to be the next necessary failure? What's the big stumble that's going to teach us something new and ultimately push all of this technology forward?